mean the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Present.
Barbara Liebert.
Here.
Charles Costick.
Here.
Dana Isabella is absent. James Coffey.
Here.
And Catherine Colucci is present.
And I would just add that Dana was camping, and the road is currently washed out where she is, so she could not get here. It's not that she didn't want to be here; she could not get here. She's safe, but they're working on doing some stuff with all the rain that's been going on. Is there anyone seeking public comment this evening? Seeing none, we're going to advance. Got a bunch of things that I want to cover real quick. In no particular order. We did get a nice letter from the ARC Foundation of Clinton County. Enclosed, please find a check from the ARC Foundation. The amount of $2,800 is a gift towards the interactive play panel at the East Morrison Bullis Road Playground. I thought that was a nice thing from the ARC. Thank you for that. Also want to note that the town of Plattsburgh is working with the Clinton County Historical Association, a lot of other groups, but very much in the early stages, that we are officially designated one of the first USA 250 projects, and they're putting forth a couple of different publications, but one of them is a planning manual and toolkit, of which the BMG has a prominent feature of it, so that'll be going out. That's just one more piece of thing that's getting the BMG some highlights. Do want to spend a couple moments talking about the Plattsburgh Air Force Base as it relates to some of the resolutions that we need to take up tonight as a hybrid meeting. I have been in communication with Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Congresswoman Stefanik's office as it relates to the sinkholes that have developed out on that property. I formally submitted a letter requesting immediate assistance relating to critical infrastructure. That's a legacy issue, and when I define a legacy issue, I really mean that this damage really is a result of federal infrastructure. This is an infrastructure that the town has built. It's not the roads. It's the infrastructure that lay beneath the grounds. This burden and repair will severely strain both the town's resources, burden taxpayers, negatively impacting local businesses, and also hindering future economic development of our rural community. Having some conversations. One of the additional conversations that will need to occur is the Office of Emergency Management, because what is occurring is, anybody that has either been outside or looked out a window over the last couple of weeks know that we've had a lot of storms. And the deluge of rain has just been consistent in these pockets, right? So it's very problematic. Chuck and I went out with Greg and Jason, met with members of the Luck Brothers, who are part of mobilizing to help secure a very critical component of that space, which is the intersection of Connecticut and Idaho. But we're talking right now on the low end, starting about $350,000. So it's not insignificant at all. There are other elements of the project that could be upwards of 1.2, 1.3, 1.5 million, but that is being evaluated in a larger scope of work, and some of the things that we will be doing to minimize some of the impact is a portion of Connecticut will be closed because it's just a bigger issue. So we're going to get that intersection open. Fortunately, as of now, and I think it's really important to note that, huge asterisk, as of now, businesses have been able to remain open because while it's an inconvenience, you can go around the larger Plattsburgh Air Force Base, you can get to various locations. But we don't know what we don't know. And what I mean by that is with old infrastructure that really kind of goes back to that cold era period, where it was overbuilt in some places, not tended to by the federal government and then transferred. And even some of the plans, to be quite frank, don't scope out everything that's in the ground. And I can give you an example of Atlas Heights project that was developed out there over near Seton when they were doing doing some work. They would dig into the ground to move that project along, and shovels and excavators were out there. They found things that they did not know were in the ground, because often things just would kind of get buried in various areas and stuff, and because it was federal government, they followed under different guidelines and rules and regulations and such. But nonetheless, there's legacy issues there. I want to thank two representatives, in particular Senator Schumer's office has been very active in the dialogue. I also want to thank Congresswoman Stefanik's office for an active dialogue. I do have calls into Senator Gillibrand, who've been playing some phone tag and such, but those two offices have been actively engaged, which has been very appreciated. But as a good friend of mine said to me years ago, it's probably one of my favorite quotes, is paperwork is the embalming fluid of bureaucracy. And no check is coming tomorrow. Even if there's some funds identified, there's probably a boatload of paperwork and applications, and so we'll keep you updated on it, but as it goes into the resolutions this evening.
The emergency things that are being done now, will they carry forward in the future, or will they have to be redone again?
We are taking it day by day and project by project. That's probably the best that I can say, Tom. And one of the biggest hurdles that we're facing beyond what we don't know underneath the ground is the type of ground that we're dealing with. It is so sandy. Okay, so you could have a sinkhole, for example, a 15 by 15, but you could, in theory, have to trench that out almost by 50 by 50, because the sand just keeps falling back in.
It's all sand.
It's all sand. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of safety things that need to be done. The other component to it is some of the resources, the pipe that needs to go
Yeah, I
in
was
the
just
ground
gonna say the pipes.
is about 6 feet. I mean, that's not something we're going down to Lowe's to grab off the shelf. So fortunately, we've always been in a position to try to stay on top of some things and have some stuff in the yard.
Yeah.
We have some materials. I'm glad that we do. But in likelihood, we're going to have to mobilize a lot more material, either that or other styles of material, and that all comes with cost. I also engaged with our county partners. I've also engaged with the Chamber of Commerce and a number of other people. So we're circling the wagons. We're doing what we do. I think if anything, the town of Plattsburgh has always put infrastructure as our top priority, but we need to manage stuff, given that the fact that a lot of this particular problem was not,
Not budgeted.
what wasn't budgeted, but more specifically, Tom, I would say is, this is a problem that it wasn't like we put a pipe out 30 years ago and we neglected it. This is a pipe that was out there. I'll give it an example. Is when we've had to take over some certain things, there have been perpetual care funds, right? There has been a model of perpetual care. When the town and even the city, to some level, there was not kind of this perpetual care fund to say, hey, in 20 more years, we're going to have you give this opportunity. And there are other communities around the country that are in this. Griffin Air Force Base, I think, in
Rome, I
Rome.
was gonna say Rome.
Yep, I think has had some similar issues,
They
and
have.
so we're, I'm gonna be engaging with municipal leaders there, and just, again, having a much larger conversation, but just wanna make you aware of it, because people will ask, what's going on, how come you're engaging in outside contractors, how come your highway department isn't doing all of it themselves? It's not that, it's not even a skill level, it's, we don't have some of the tools and resources, and, so it's a whole game of things.
Much more than any small community.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly.
Absolutely. So, and, the last two things that I would mention is we also are engaged in conversations with utilities too. Like, one of the things that is problematic is utilities for NYSEG, both natural gas and electric, and CP Real. So, I mean, like, if you really were just to really kind of slice this up, I mean, it's roads, it's businesses, it's electricity, it's natural gas, it's CP Rails. I mean, there's a lot going on here, so that's the general update. Any questions from anybody?
Michael, from just the traffic flow, you may not be able to answer this right away, but just for the public viewers, New York Road, would that have any slowdown there, or any one-way traffic?
There is, part of New York Road is down to one lane at the moment, but I will tell you that, they've got some directional signage out there, but I think it's really critical for people to know that, given the fact that things could change very quickly, is that people should afford themselves more than enough time to make alternate routes. If you do not have to go through the Plattsburgh Air Force Base to get, over to Cliff Haven or, South Plattsburgh or various things, I would advise people to take alternate routes just to start with. I mean, it's just easier that way. But that's not to say that, people can't get to where they need to go. But I'll give you an example. Triangle Electric right now has to go almost all the way down, going to the barracks, then going down the back way, and then all the way up, whereas if Connecticut was open, they would have been able to get to Connecticut and banked off to Idaho, and they would have been right there. So there's just enough of a frustration, and that is happening because they have to trench out a huge section of Idaho and Connecticut.
And that's why I'm asking, because we're creatures of habit,
Yeah.
and so therefore, it's good for you to make that.
In New York's fine, when Michael says it's one lane, it's only the like southbound
Yeah.
side.
Okay,
One of the two
Yeah.
lanes is closed, so you
I
still
saw
have
that.
three.
Yep.
You still
okay,
have three operable lanes.
Yeah, and we continue to monitor other areas of the base too, to be quite frank. I mean,
yes.
it's, typical, because you gotta remember that most of, not all, but most of that infrastructure went in at about around the same time. So,
70 years.
so typically when there's a failure in one place, right, there could be a failure in another location. It could be days, could be, so that's why we're trying to get our minds wrapped around some stuff. And we had been working on a portion of this already. New York Road was identified, and so again, the work continues. So, with that, I think it leads up into 3 items that were on the docket this evening, given all that's going on and just with the holidays and stuff. The first one is Resolution 160, the abstract.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claims number 7A-24 for $22,718.10 be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay said abstract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Hebert, is there a second? Wood, is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes. All right, Resolution 161, emergency repair sinkholes, Connecticut Road and Idaho Ave.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh procurement policy outlines the requirement for purchasing goods and services under an emergency, and whereas on June 20th of 2024, the town incurred a significant rain event resulting in multiple sinkholes at the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, including Connecticut Road, Idaho Avenue, and New York Road. And whereas due to the safety concerns and time constraints, Greg Brunel, Highway Superintendent, has engaged Luck Brothers Inc. to perform the necessary repairs. Therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby grant permission to Greg Brunel to continue the services of Luck Brothers Inc. for the necessary emergency repairs to Connecticut Road and Idaho Avenue. It is further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign all related documents required for the repair, and it is further resolved that the payment for said emergency repair will be made payable from the 2024 storm drain equipment and capital outlay account as stated here.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second,
Wood, any discussion?
is that, there's enough money in there to cover $350?
Yeah, I mean, we are able to respond to the needs right now, but it is important to know that this is a estimate right now, and, you know, it could exceed or shrink, but we have begun the process as it relates to our procurement policy. So, we will be getting some bills in, and we need to be able to address that. So, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Resolution 162, emergency purchase for Connecticut Road and Idaho Ave.
Whereas on June 20th of 2024, the town incurred a significant rain event resulting in multiple sinkholes at the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, including Connecticut Road, Idaho Avenue, and New York Road. And whereas Greg Brunel, Highway Superintendent, is requesting the following pipe and coupling be purchased for the emergency repair on Connecticut Road and Idaho Avenue. We have the galvanized culvert pipes here listed, and the culvert coupling listed as well with their $20,120.40 for the culvert pipe and $2,012.04 for the culvert coupling, for a total purchase amount of $22,132.44 to be purchased from VP Supply Corp. Using New York State contract pricing. Therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby grant permission to Greg Brunel to purchase the pipe and couplings for the necessary repairs to Connecticut Road and Idaho Avenue. It is further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign all related documents required for this purchase. And it is further resolved that the payment for said emergency repair supplies be made payable from the 2024 storm drain equipment and capital outlay account as stated here.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Seconded.
Hebert, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. I didn't say this previous, but I do want to say it before we move on to the last part. I want to thank the Luck Brothers.
I was just,
They have been absolutely tremendous to work with. Jamie and her crew have just been very, very helpful, and their ability to mobilize as quickly as they did has just been fantastic.
we're very fortunate to have a company like that
Yep.
in the area to be able to respond, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Very impressed with the equipment on the ground and their willingness to do what needs to be done, as quickly as possible.
They're gonna start soon?
They are on site, they have
That's
equipment in the
emergencies,
ground,
yeah.
working on things. And the reason that occurred so quickly, Tom, is that we needed to engage in that process because we knew there was more weather in the, kind of unfolding. So putting steel plates up and protecting, the infrastructure that was still good, but also making sure to get the new infrastructure.
Well, just to be able to take, Tom, they're pushing into the ground or pounding into the ground 40-foot steel plates that they literally have to drive into the ground in order to dig, because the sand just keeps.
Yep.
So they have to put that so it's at least 14 feet below where they need to,
Yeah, and
where they need to
our
dig.
highway department will be continuing to monitor all roads
Oh,
around
yeah,
there, just in
yeah,
case.
they're out
anything
there
else.
every day,
Yeah.
and kudos to them
Yeah.
too, for the quick response, and Greg and the crew in the back have that rapport with Luck Brothers also, so, it makes the whole thing just work exceptionally well.
The last group that should also be thanked is our county highway superintendent. They have provided some resources. I was out there with Greg and Jason that first night when they were, just securing the area, and the county provided us, some signs and just just, barricades and just
No.
resources that were necessary.
They were right there.
Yeah.
So, and my heart goes out to people in Vermont right now, and down in Lake Lewis and stuff like that. They've really been beaten up. So weather can do, can do a real toll on things, so.
And I know you and Chuck were out there, but, Tom went out, and then I went out the day after, so we've all been able to see the sense of urgency that was happening,
That's great.
so. As a team.
All right, back to the traditional work session, draft materials for minutes, monthly reports, budget adjustments, Twin City maintenance and renewal agreement. Some items may or may not fall off next week. We're still trying to get some more details on some streetlight arms, appointment for a new employee, and then the potential authorization for a grant application for a salt storage shed. Is there any committee reports?
I just want to give a thank you to Steve and Steve Einhoff, Alan Reese, and Brett Baker. I was working for the interviews for the position that we're going to look at next week, and it was a process, and we started early enough, I think, Supervisor Cashman, and enough so that we can do some cross-training and be able to get someone on board, and then get them cross-trained for a month, at least a month and a half.
I think it's about
Okay.
a month.
So I just kind of wanted to be able to provide that information.
That's great. Any other committee reports?
And Tom, I know you mentioned streetlight arms, the replacement, B&G is actually gonna do the replacement on them, I believe,
Oh, okay.
as it stands at the moment. So, NICEAG will take the old lights down, set the new pole. They'll set it such that we have our tie-in points for the streetlights. B&G will put the new arms up, reattach the Cobra head, and energize it, or have NICEAG energize it.
So it'll be more night lighting.
And the lighting's gonna be the same,
Okay.
just gonna have a bright shiny new arm off a bright shiny new pole, so.
And lower to
The
the
light
ground?
itself is gonna be
Lower
the
to the
same.
ground, so we have.
Whatever you want, Tom, we have that ability to adjust that light. If you want
Yeah.
it brighter out your way, we can
No,
do
we
that
don't,
for
we
you.
want it. Never mind.
Well, that's a problem, because Quinnipiac's like 25. I have
Alright.
to agree, yeah.
Any other committee reports? Going once, going twice. All right, we will adjourn tonight at 6:22 p.m. Drive safe, stay dry.
And don't drive around the base just for fun.